So if you're new to time-lapse or you've just been using your mobile phone, you may be interested to know that the best time-lapse doesn't come from video, but it comes from photography. Lots of individual photos knitted together to create a time-lapse, and manual camera settings are key to making a beautifully smooth time-lapse, and shutter speed is where the magic happens. The sweet spot is between a 1 and 2 second exposure. In order to achieve this, I've placed a 10-stop neutral density filter on the lens. Without the ND filter, my shutter would be around 800th of a second. With the filter, I've settled at 1.3 seconds, which will give me a nice motion blur within the traffic and clouds. Then simply set your camera to interval shooting. On the Sony A7 III, it's in menu 1, page 4. We want the interval between shots to be 1 second, and then set the number of captures. 120 shots gives me a 5-second time-lapse on a cinematic 24 frames a second video. Then simply kick back and let the camera do the work. The 1.3 second exposure creates lovely motion within the moving traffic, and when sequenced together produces smooth and professional looking time lapses. Again, I'm going for a 1 second exposure on a 14mm manual lens at f/22 ISO 100. And of course, set up the camera for interval shooting. The beauty of shooting time-lapse photographs is that you can always find great individual images within the sequence. Right, the process for rendering a time-lapse from your beautifully composed and exposed images couldn't be easier. I use DaVinci Resolve for video editing, but if you're using Adobe Premiere, for instance, the process is pretty similar. So let's jump into it. Once you've imported your images into Lightroom or Capture One and performed some editing or applied your favorite preset, select all the images and in the export window, choose a destination folder, format with a job name and importantly a digit counter, and then export the images. Now you'll see all the images are numbered in sequence, and if you're using DaVinci Resolve to edit the video, simply drag all the images into the media pool. And just like that, the software recognizes it as a sequence and renders it as a video. Then all you have to do is place it in your timeline as you would any video clip, then export to your favorite settings. Some other cool ways to add a cinematic vibe to your time-lapse is by using a time-lapse rotator. You can pick up a pretty decent one like this for around £80. They sit on top of your tripod and rotate at various speeds to add further movement to your time-lapses. Right, that's a time out, people. Thank you as always for donating some of your precious time to me. If you had a jolly nice time, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button below, and check out my other videos where I take trips, pics, and generally muck about with cameras.